You're listening to the Business Communicators.
Hattie, a few moments ago, before we got to the Jamie Roots interview, you mentioned celebrities and NDAs. And I don't know if you guys saw the story earlier this week, but Warner Brothers made the news. They are basically shattering the glass. This is something that we've alluded to a little bit on the podcast with COVID-19 and how the Hollywood industry has changed as a result of COVID-19. Tenet, for example, was, I think, the movie that we referred to a few weeks ago, didn't do as well in the box offices because people are not going to watch movies in box offices because of social distancing, COVID-19, lockdowns, all of this stuff. And Warner Brothers made headlines a few weeks ago, actually, with their new Wonder Woman movie that is coming out. I believe it's coming out Christmas or Christmas Eve. And they are actually going to release that not only in the theaters, but they're also going to do it via HBO Max. And I think a lot of people were surprised by that. And we had seen some networks start to release things on Netflix, some start to release things on Apple TV. But Warner Brothers changed the game. This past week, they announced the studio will send 17 films, including The Matrix 4, The Suicide Squad, Dune, to its streaming service, HBO Max, for 31 days, the same day they hit theaters in 2021. So every single movie that Warner Brothers is releasing in 2021, not only can you watch it in theaters if you want, but you can watch it in the comfort of your own home for $14.99 a month on HBO Max. Does this change the game for Hollywood?
I like that. You have multiple streams of income. Also, given that some movie theaters are not reopening, there's one down the street from me, a studio movie grill. It hasn't reopened yet. I don't know if it will reopen in 2021, but I do like the idea of being able to see a movie from the comfort of my own home. No problem with that. I'll do it.
I think the movie industry was already starting to hurt a little bit, the cinema industry, because you had big screen TVs. It's Black Friday. You can get an 80 plus inch TV for $1,000, which used to be, outside of everybody's price range. And home theaters are also, the technology is getting there better. And so you mentioned Studio Movie Grill. I was really partial because when I lived in Austin, there was an Alamo Draft House, and it was a movie and a dinner, and they served good food, and they did really quirky things. So they kind of disrupted a little bit of the movie going experience as is. My question is, and you saw Disney Plus buying Hamilton for $72 million for the exclusive rights for it. So I'm really interested to see how this long-term plays, and how much HBO Max paid for this opportunity.
Yeah, I do think that's going to be fascinating. I mean, I'm just looking at the share prices right now. AMC Entertainment at their peak in 2020, that was February 20th. Their share price was $7.76. It hit a low at the beginning of November at $2.15 a share. It's currently trading about $3.39. So, I mean, they're down well over 50% this year. Cinemark was in the same position. Their share price in February was trading at $32. As we are recording this podcast, they're trading just a hair under $14. So, I mean, financially, these companies have been hit so hard. And we've seen that movies are stubborn. Like producers, these production houses, they are stubborn. Tenet, they wanted to release it in the theaters. They knew that it had to be seen in theaters. We've seen Top Gun push their 2020 date back to 2021. We've seen James Bond push their date from this spring to the fall, and now it's pushed into 2021. And I think there is some hesitation from these big Hollywood outlets to actually embrace change and try to figure out how to move forward in this new world. And hats off to Warner Brothers for saying, you know what, we're going to take this into our own hands, and we're going to go to where the people are.
But you also remember when the pandemic was in full force, that lots of creatives were creating their own movies in their homes and putting them out on the different streaming services such as Netflix and what have you. So they do realize that they have to change. It's in some cases, for me, I'm thinking that perhaps it's because the experience that the theater provides us, especially for certain types of movies that you're talking about, these big action-packed 3D movies, that they don't want to lose that. And they want to make sure that people are still getting that experience. But actually, I think Hollywood is actually smarter than we give them credit for. So I'd like to see what's going to happen, moving forward as to how, because you have so many options now, so many channels, and so many different platforms that you can use for getting movies out there. So it looks like they're just using everything that they have in their armor to do that.
And the one thing that I find the most shocking about it is they went to HBO and they didn't create their own platform or channel, for lack of a better statement, Disney Plus or something along those lines. But yet we talked about Quibi
I was just about to say
going that way. So I'm sure that you mentioned them being smart. I'm 100% sure they probably looked at it saying, okay, if we started channel XYZ and we charge $10 a month or whatever it is, we need X number of people for that, or we can go to HBO and call it a day.
So just to provide some clarification, I did actually just look up HBO Max. So HBO Max, they launched 6 months ago, back in May. So it's a subscription on-demand video streaming service from AT&T's Warner Media, so Warner Brothers, Warner Media. So it's just part of one of their digital arms. So kudos to them for using HBO Max as a distribution platform from a company. So it doesn't look like they actually had to sell the rights, to an Apple TV or Netflix. But that begs the question: what is 20th Century Fox going to do? What are these other production houses going to do? DreamWorks, are they going to release stuff on Apple TV, Netflix? But it's exciting, and I think being forced to change and adapt can be an exciting time.
Absolutely, I agree totally with that.
Well, and to your business communicators, look at the channels that you have, and you might be able to change the game with what you're already doing. Just have to think a little bit differently.
Think differently.
Go where your audience is.
Exactly. Think differently. Don't be complacent. Always push the envelope. And we've said this many, many times. It's okay to fail as long as you fail for it. I think that's the most important thing.
You're listening to the Business Communicators.